how do we find balance? And this is a global Dr. Attia question here. How do we find balance between achievement on a grand scale? And here's what I mean. You have accomplished many wonderful things. And as I embarrass myself in the intro here, you have done so much productivity-wise, and you've presented it to the world in a way that helps all these people. And I want my buddy Peter to have a great marriage, and like his kids want to come home when they graduate college and want to come hang out. At what point, how do you find that balance? I feel like the narrative is one of two ways. One, we get one narrative, which is crush it and kill it and go and go and go and go and go. And if you have a feeling and if you get tired, it's because you're weak and you just need to suck it up. And the other path is the 7 million men who've just said, dude, I'm out of the workforce. I'm out of here. Or quiet quitting, or sitting at home, or just like you mentioned earlier, I just feel so disempowered. I'm out. There has to be a new third way here to both achieve things, do well, contribute to society, and not melt yourself in the process. But if I look back on those who have really made a mark on society, they left a wake behind them. And I don't know how to find that balance. And this is a macro. This is Dr. Attia, global voice, best-selling author. But it's also Tim, the Boy Scout leader, who's got 2 kids, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can only speak to this from my experience. I certainly felt the need to, as the way I described it when I was kind of younger, and my wife will talk about this if. The way I would talk about it to her when we first got married is I wanted to build a skyscraper. And I just said, look, if you look out at the world, it's mostly just townhouses, and there's only a few skyscrapers out there. And there's people who have done unbelievable, exceptional things that have stood out. And I want to be one of those. I want to build a skyscraper. And I just was adamant about that. I had to do this. I had to build a skyscraper. And, there's just no question in my mind now where that was coming from and how unhealthy that was. And that's kind of the irony of it is I think a lot of people who do build skyscrapers, whether it means through some enormous financial success or even through something more productive, right? Like, literally creating a technology that is, valuable. A lot of times there's probably a void that's being filled there. And while the world may benefit from what they've done, it might not necessarily be ultimately filling that void. I can only say that today, first of all, I realize how kind of grandiose that aspiration is. And that's not surprising. It's congruent and consistent with everything that I now know about myself and my past. And it's not an accident that I would find myself in a very grandiose position as the defense mechanism. I also realized that statistically, the probability that any one of us really matter cosmically is pretty much zero, right? So we just have to be honest and think about this, which is, even when you think about the most significant people dying, to borrow that phrase, bending the arc of the universe, I'm not sure who first used that expression. Very few people bend the arc of the universe. And I'm much happier today not trying to build a skyscraper and not trying to bend the arc of the universe, because first of all, I just know it wasn't making me any happier being in pursuit of it. 2, if I'm going to be brutally honest, I wasn't going to do it. And 3, it's allowing me to optimize more for something that I think is more valuable, which is the time I have with the people who matter most to me. And I don't think I have this figured out. Like I'm clearly trying to be the guy in the middle. I'm not retiring. I'm not saying I'm not going to work. I'm not working 40 hours a week, right? I'm not taking weekends off to do, to not work. I mean, I'm still working probably harder than I would even like to work, but it's just different. It doesn't feel like I'm trying to change the world. And I think my priorities have really shifted, and but I think I'll always still struggle with, just as a a former alcoholic is probably always going to have to be on guard against, having another drink. I think a former workaholic is always going to have to be on guard when it comes to making choices that very, quickly can put you back into destructive habits.
The way I've tried to make peace with it is I need people. I got 2 little kids. I need people out there solving some of these big complex issues at the local level and at the national level, the global level. I want people out there really going for it. And I've had to look in the mirror and say, you can go for it, but that call from dad's not coming. That certificate's not going to come in the mail that says, "Hey, I'm really proud of it." It's not going to come, right? It's not going to solve me, and that may be the ultimate skyscraper I wanted to build, right? I want to do all of this and achieve all of this because then then I finally sew up that hole inside, and it just, I don't know. So I guess I want people to achieve. I just want them to know that it's not going to heal you. You got to do that work somewhere else.
Yeah. And I think that, building off what you're saying, I mean, I think a bigger skyscraper for me is after I'm dead, like nobody remembers me other than my kids and my grandkids and my friends. Like that's to me, that's a legacy worth having. Not that 10 years after I'm dead, someone's writing an article about me. Like I that just doesn't mean anything.
Zero. Yeah.
Yeah. So knowing that after my kids go to college, they actually want to come home, knowing that after my kids get married, they actually want to be near us. They want to, they want to call me when they have a problem. I mean, those are things that are going to matter far more to me than anything else I'm doing.